hit itself, but rather lines coming out of there. This caused, as we lost that facility, contact with that facility, this caused a problem with the other facilities keeping up. They said that the demand at that hour was high because of the intense heat here in the city tonight and the high humidity. They kind of tried various moves. They tried to cut power by 5%, then they tried to cut power by 8%, then they started cutting off some of the suburbs and some other areas in their system. That didn't work, and about 9:41, virtually all of New York City once again plunged into darkness. There are reports that there are a couple of areas of light, I guess, as we might call it. The Statue of Liberty still glowing in the harbor. Long Island apparently not affected, but Westchester County, which is at least the southern half within the Con Ed service area, is cut. Initial reports indicated that Staten Island was not affected. That apparently has... Staten Island is black at this time, according to the best information. We are experiencing lots of difficulties here this evening in bringing you news. Our people out in the streets find that their radios are not reaching the base station that we have atop the World Trade Center. All of those are our problems as we attempt to keep up. Occasionally you may hear things that you normally don't hear, us giving line information and queue information to reporters. That is because in our control room some of the relays are not working, as 90 Park Avenue, our studio headquarters, are on emergency power.
What happened was this. Up in northern Westchester, lightning storms had hit the power lines, not the plant, but the power lines from Indian Point, number 3, which is one of the big nuclear generators that Con Ed maintains on the Hudson. It put out those power lines and had an excess load at the time because of the air conditioning and what's not tonight.
What line?
And this, of course, acted as a kind of a tripping system. They tried to cut power back and it wouldn't work. Finally, they had to cut off the entire system in order to save the generator. So everything is out. Westchester, all the 5 boroughs of New York. And
Gil, let us interrupt once again. On the line, Catherine Wheeler, a public relations spokeswoman for the New York University Medical Center, who can give us some idea of how that particular location is coping with the problem and what it has meant to one of the city's major hospitals. Catherine, are you with us?
Well, I'd like to reassure the families of patients at the medical center that all the patients are safe and secure during the blackout. We are maintaining all essential patient services with our emergency generator, and all the patients are safe and secure. This is undoubtedly the case for all other hospitals in the area who are required to have emergency generators for just such a situation.
Right. Thank you very much for that reassurance. Is there anything the public should do? Is everything... there any... Go ahead.
We would appreciate that people do not call. Our switchboards are being overloaded now, and since I can't reassure people that patients are safe, we would appreciate that they do not call until after the blackout.
Thank you very, very much. That was Catherine Wheeler, a public relations spokesperson for the NYU Medical Center, who undoubtedly was speaking for the situation at all the major hospitals in the city where emergency power is keeping essential services, no patients' lives in danger at this time.
Thank you, Ed. And out on the streets, as we were told earlier by our business manager, Jim Surratt, it seems the cab situation is running well. We didn't have any words on whether the buses were still operating, but I imagine they are as well, don't you, Roy?
I would imagine that the buses are still running.
The situation there.
Subways are scattered delays and outages on the subway system. Also, the Long Island Railroad has stalled trains under the tunnel, or under the tunnel under the river.
Have we heard of any subway trains stalled, Roy, that you know of? I haven't.
Some subways, yes. Yeah. Reports of that also.
Okay, so there are some people...
Jim Surratt now advises us that at Shea Stadium there was no problem. The crowd watching the Mets game, who were they playing?
The Cubs. They were losing in the 6th inning when it stopped.
Okay, someone...
This was an opportune point for them to get out. They were losing. All right.
It was a calm evacuation, no problems. We were advised from our sister station, KYW in Philadelphia, which also is working on the story for us, as well as from their own listeners down in the Delaware Valley. We are advised that there is some attempt being made by the New York power authorities now to tap the grid system, bring in power up that way. We don't know if it's going to work. Doug Edelson on 7-9. Let's switch to him.
Doug is out on the streets now.
What's happening now out on the streets is very reminiscent of what happened in 1965. People are walking around with candles. They're listening to their radios. Some young people are out in the middle of the roads directing traffic. Traffic is hazardous, incidentally. Trying to get from one side of the street to the other is a real task. In fact, it's an experience trying to make the crossing because the traffic lights are out. But these kids controlling traffic seem to be having a good time, and they have some of the situation at least pretty well in hand.
Doug, it looks like New Yorkers are pitching in as they always have.
Eddie, it's very much like it was some 12 years ago. It's somehow this sort of thing brings people together. And they are brought together. They're doing things for each other. They're enjoying it, as a matter of fact, despite the fact that there's no power anywhere in the city.
You are undoubtedly near your home, as you were a while ago, up in the Upper East Side, and near the Con Ed facility, which you ran to, figuring it might be a more localized problem. You're also our chief political correspondent. Any indication that we have not been able to reach the mayor or get word from him? The normal channels that we would use, of course, are down at the moment. Is there any indication where he is at the moment?
No, the mayor, I understand, had a full schedule tonight. He was due up at Co-op City, as a matter of fact, at 9:15, and I would imagine that's where he is now, or on his way back to either the mansion or City Hall.
Those people at Co-op City probably are now wishing that power plant that never got off the ground indeed was working.
Well, I would think if things timed out the way they probably would have, the power went out.
Here's Gil Fox. Let me, could well be. Gil Fox has a message of some importance.
Yes, we just received word subway trains that are in the tunnels are proceeding very slowly to the nearest station, be that where it may, for each train. Then they're letting the people out. They're shutting down because the signals are not working. There's no power to those signals. So if you have somebody you feel may be in the subway, they're going to get out all right. The trains are moving to the nearest station. They'll let the people out. Once again, the police department sends a message via Commissioner Codd. All area commanders report to their commands, and all off-duty officers report to the nearest precinct. Ed Rickards has somebody else on the line for us now, I think, Ed, do you?
Dan Burns, I believe.
Thank you, Ed. I'm here at 92nd Street and Broadway. I must say, it's a gala, almost festival atmosphere. A lot of people on the streets. It's cool on the street, and they don't need the air conditioner that everybody was running that ran this blackout. But flashlights are running, buses are running, cars are running. That's the only lights we have. An unfortunate incident right near me, which we didn't have in 1965. I remember 12 years ago when the nobility of New Yorkers was brought out by the blackout, and I hope it again does the same. But unfortunately, at the Green's department store, which is a 5 and 10 cent store at 93rd Street and Broadway, there was a break-in, there was looting, and the police are now handling the situation. There have been a few incidents along Broadway where that has happened. I would hope that these are isolated incidents and that most New Yorkers are out to help each other at a time of need and not to take advantage of a very bad situation.